She tried to be invisible, but her boss was shocked when she dressed up. Vivian Chin had perfected the art of disappearing in plain sight. For 2 years, she had arrived at Ashford Industries at precisely 7:45 a.m., 15 minutes before anyone else. She wore the same uniform of shapeless gray cardigans over loose-fitting blouses, paired with dark slacks that did nothing for her figure. Her thick-rimmed glasses, ones she didn't actually need, served as a barrier between her and the world. Her hair, which once cascaded in glossy waves, was perpetually twisted into a severe bun at the nape of her neck. She was a ghost. A specter who moved through the executive floor with files and coffee, whose voice was barely above a whisper when she spoke, whose eyes remained fixed on her tablet or the floor. Marcus Ashford, CEO of the multimillion-dollar tech empire, passed her desk at least 20 times a day. He barked orders without looking at her. Vivian, reschedule the Tokyo meeting. Vivian, get Patterson on the line. Vivian, where's the Hendricks report? She responded with quiet efficiency, and he walked away, already thinking about the next task. To him, she was competent, reliable, and utterly forgettable. The other assistants in the building whispered about her. The ghost assistant, they called her. Some wondered if she had a life outside these walls. Others assumed she was simply boring, plain, unremarkable. None of them knew the truth. 3 years ago, Vivian had been vibrant, confident, engaged to a man she thought loved her. She'd worn bright colors and laughed freely. Then came the betrayal, discovering her fiancé in bed with her own sister. The humiliation, the whispers, the pitying looks had broken something fundamental inside her. She'd fled across the country to this city, to this job, determined never to be noticed, never to be vulnerable, never to be hurt again. Invisibility became her armor. You're doing it again, Diana Rothwell said, sliding into the chair across from Vivian in the break room. Diana worked in marketing, bold, colorful Diana with her red lipstick and infectious energy. Somehow, she'd seen through Vivian's carefully constructed facade and decided they would be friends. Doing what? Vivian asked, not looking up from her yogurt. Trying to blend into the furniture. Diana grabbed Vivian's chin gently, forcing eye contact. You know the annual gala is in 2 weeks, right? Vivian's stomach dropped. The company gala, the one event she'd successfully avoided for 2 consecutive years by claiming illness. I'm not going. Yes, you are. Diana's tone left no room for argument. And this year you're going to let me help you get ready. Diana. No. Diana held up a hand. Listen to me, Viv. I don't know what happened before you came here, and you don't have to tell me. But I see you. I see the woman hiding under those awful cardigans and that terrible bun. And it's time you let her breathe again. Vivian felt tears prick her eyes. I can't. You can. Diana squeezed her hand. I'll be with you the entire time. Think of it as an experiment. One night. If you hate it, you can go back to your invisibility cloak. But if you don't. She let the sentence hang, full of possibility. Vivian thought about Marcus walking past her desk that morning, his eyes sliding over her as if she were part of the wall. She thought about the woman she used to be, the one who danced and laughed and believed in love. Maybe Diana was right. Maybe it was time. Okay, she whispered. One night. Diana's face lit up like Christmas morning. You won't regret this. I promise. As Vivian returned to her desk, passing Marcus's office where he sat in a meeting with executives, completely unaware of her existence, she felt a tiny flutter of something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The following Saturday, Diana arrived at Vivian's small apartment like a whirlwind of determination and shopping bags. First rule, Diana announced, pulling Vivian off her couch. We're burning these cardigans. Metaphorically. Maybe literally. Vivian laughed nervously as Diana rifled through her closet, making theatrical gagging sounds at each oversized garment. I know they're bad, but... Bad? Viv, these are crimes against fashion. And more importantly, crimes against you. Diana emerged with an armful of gray and beige. When did you last wear something that actually fit you? Vivian looked away. A long time ago. Diana's expression softened. She set down the clothes and took Vivian's hands. Whoever made you want to hide, they don't deserve this power over you. You know that, right? Vivian nodded, though her throat felt tight. Good. Now let's go shopping. The boutique district terrified Vivian. The mannequins in the windows wore bold colors, elegant cuts, daring styles. Diana dragged her into store after store, pulling dresses and holding them up against Vivian's frame. This one, Diana breathed, holding up an emerald silk dress with a sweetheart neckline and a skirt that would fall just above the knee. This is the one. Vivian stared at it. The color was stunning, rich and deep. But it was so visible. I don't know. Trust me. Diana pushed her toward the fitting room. When Vivian emerged, Diana's eyes filled with tears. Oh Viv. Vivian barely recognized herself in the mirror. The dress hugged her curves, the emerald bringing out the warmth in her skin tone. She looked beautiful. I can't, Vivian whispered, panic rising. This isn't me anymore. Did I ask you? It's just been buried. Diana stood behind her, meeting her eyes in the mirror. You're not becoming someone else. You're remembering who you are. The night of the gala, Vivian stood in her bathroom, trembling. The dress hung on the door, mocking her. Her phone buzzed with encouraging texts from Diana, who was already at the venue. She could back out. Call in sick. Return to her safe invisibility. But then she thought of Marcus's voice that afternoon. Vivian, cancel my morning meetings Monday. Not a please, not even a glance. Just another order to the ghost assistant. Something inside her sparked. A tiny flame of defiance. She styled her hair in loose waves that cascaded over her shoulders. Applied makeup the way she used to, subtle but defining, highlighting eyes that suddenly seemed larger, brighter. Slipped into the emerald dress and strappy heels that made her legs look endless. When she looked in the mirror, she gasped. The woman staring back was confident, radiant, alive. The hotel ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and champagne. Vivian's heart hammered as she walked through the entrance, immediately wanting to flee. Then Diana appeared, stunning in red, her face lighting up. There's my girl. You look absolutely incredible. I feel like I'm going to pass out. You're going to walk in there with your head high. You're not hiding anymore, remember? They entered the ballroom together. Vivian felt eyes turning toward her, heard the whispers. People from the office stared, confused, trying to place her. Near the bar, Marcus stood in an impeccable black tuxedo, laughing with board members. He was devastatingly handsome, dark hair perfectly styled, strong jawline, commanding presence. For 2 years she trained herself not to notice. Tonight she noticed everything. As if sensing her gaze, Marcus looked up. His eyes swept the room and landed on her. She watched his expression shift, polite interest, then confusion, then shock as recognition dawned. His champagne glass froze halfway to his lips. Their eyes locked across the crowded room, and Vivian felt the air crackle with electricity. She lifted her chin, refusing to look away first. Marcus's face transformed from shock to something else entirely. Something that made heat pool in her stomach. He started walking toward her, cutting through the crowd, never breaking eye contact. Oh my God, Diana whispered beside her. He looks like he's seen a vision. Vivian couldn't breathe, couldn't move, could only watch as Marcus Ashford, the man who'd looked through her for 2 years, approached with an intensity that made her knees weak. He stopped directly in front of her, so close she could smell his cologne, sandalwood and something uniquely him. Vivian? His voice was rough, uncertain. Is that you? She smiled, a real smile, the first one he'd ever seen from her. Hello, Mr. Ashford. He stared at her like she was the only person in the room. You're. Why have you been hiding? Marcus couldn't form coherent thoughts. The woman standing before him bore little physical resemblance to his assistant. Yet everything about her was familiar. The intelligent eyes, now luminous without those unnecessary glasses. The quiet grace in how she held herself, now transformed into elegant confidence. The voice he'd heard whisper confirmations for 2 years, now rich and clear. I wasn't hiding, Vivian said softly. I was protecting myself. From what? The question escaped before he could stop it. From being seen. Her smile held sadness. From being hurt. Guilt crashed over him. How many times had he barked orders without looking at her? How many times had he taken her brilliance for granted? The reports she prepared were flawless, her organizational skills extraordinary, her insights sharp when he'd actually bothered to ask. She'd been right there and he'd been blind. I'm an idiot, he said bluntly. Vivian blinked in surprise. What? I've worked with you every day for 2 years. You know things about my business that I sometimes forget. You've saved me from disasters more times than I can count. You're brilliant and efficient and... He gestured helplessly at her. And I never really looked at you. I'm sorry. Something shifted in her expression, surprise melting into something warmer. You're apologizing to me at a gala? I'm apologizing to you everywhere starting now. He extended his hand. Dance with me, please? Vivian glanced at Diana, who nodded enthusiastically and literally pushed her forward. She placed her hand in his and Marcus felt electricity shoot up his arm. Had she always affected him this way and he'd been too blind to notice? On the dance floor he pulled her close, one hand at the small of her back, the other cradling hers. She fit against him perfectly, her head just reaching his shoulder. The music swelled, something slow and romantic. "I need to know," Marcus said as they swayed. "Is this the real you? Or was the woman in the gray cardigan the real you?" Vivian was quiet for a moment. "Both. Neither. The woman you saw was what was left after I was broken. This." She looked up at him and the vulnerability in her eyes made his chest ache. "This is who I used to be before someone I loved made me feel worthless." Marcus's hand tightened on her waist. "Then he was a fool." "She," Vivian corrected quietly. "And he. My fiancé and my sister." The pain in those words made Marcus want to find whoever had hurt her and make them pay. Instead, he pulled her closer, protective instincts he didn't know he possessed roaring to life. "I see you now," he murmured against her hair. "And I promise I won't stop seeing you." Vivian pulled back to look at him, searching his face. Whatever she found there made her breath catch. Her hand slid from his shoulder to his chest, resting over his heart. Could she feel how it raced? "Marcus," she started. "Mr. Ashford." A sharp voice cut through the moment. They turned to find Julian Price striding toward them, all white teeth and predatory smile. Julian ran Tech Vision, Ashford Industries' biggest competitor. Marcus immediately disliked the way Julian's eyes raked over Vivian. "Price," Marcus said coolly, not releasing Vivian. "Aren't you going to introduce me to this stunning creature?" Julian's gaze fixed on Vivian with obvious interest. "I don't believe we've met." "We have," Vivian said calmly. "I coordinated the merger discussions last spring. I'm Mr. Ashford's executive assistant." Julian's eyebrows shot up. "You're the assistant? My God, Ashford's been hiding you." He turned to Marcus with a calculating smile. "I had no idea you had such talent on your team. Tell me, Miss Chin." Vivian Chin. "Miss Chin, have you ever considered where your skills might be better appreciated? I'm always looking for top talent, and I pay exceptionally well." Julian produced a business card like a magician pulling a rabbit from a hat. "Call me. We should talk about your future." Marcus felt a surge of possessiveness so fierce it shocked him. His arm tightened around Vivian's waist. "Miss Chen's future is already secure. At Ashford Industries." Julian's smile widened, sensing weakness. Perhaps Miss Chen should decide that for herself. After all, loyalty should be rewarded, and I suspect she's been undervalued for quite some time. He wasn't wrong and Marcus knew it. Vivian was criminally underpaid for what she contributed. He'd never thought about it because she'd never asked for more, never demanded recognition. Because she'd been invisible. And he'd let her be. Vivian took Julian's card politely. "Thank you for the offer, Mr. Price. I'll consider it." As Julian walked away looking triumphant, Marcus felt panic replace possessiveness. "Vivian." "Relax," she said, amusement dancing in her eyes. "I'm not going anywhere. But it's nice to be wanted, isn't it?" Marcus looked down at her, at the intelligence and strength shining in her face, at the woman he'd been too blind to see. "Have dinner with me. Tomorrow night. Just us." "That wouldn't be appropriate," she said, but her lips curved upward. "Then I'll make it appropriate." His voice dropped lower, more intimate. "Please. Let me see you again. Really see you. Away from the office, away from all of this." Vivian studied him for a long moment. The music swelled around them and she stepped closer, her body aligned with his in a way that made his pulse thunder. "One dinner," she whispered. "But Marcus? If you're going to see me, you have to see all of me. The confident woman and the broken one. The strong and the scared. Can you handle that?" He cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. "I want to try." Her smile transformed her entire face, and Marcus realized with stunning clarity that he was in serious trouble. He was falling for his assistant. No, he was falling for Vivian Chin, the extraordinary woman who'd been right in front of him all along. The restaurant Marcus chose was intimate. Soft lighting, secluded corner table, the kind of place where conversation stayed private. Vivian arrived in a deep burgundy dress, simpler than the gala gown but no less stunning. Her hair fell in soft waves and when she smiled at him, Marcus forgot how to breathe. "You're staring," she said, settling into her chair. "I'm making up for lost time." He poured her wine, their fingers brushing. Even that small contact sent heat through him. 2 years of not looking. "I have a lot of catching up to do." Over dinner they talked, really talked, for the first time. Not about meetings or reports but about life. Vivian told him about growing up in Seattle, her love of old movies, how she'd wanted to be an architect before life took her in a different direction. "Why didn't you?" Marcus asked. She traced the rim of her wine glass. "After everything fell apart, I lost confidence in my dreams. It felt safer to be support staff, to help others build their visions instead of my own." "That's tragic. That's survival." She met his eyes. "You do what you have to do to keep going." Marcus reached across the table, taking her hand. "And now? Are you still just surviving?" Vivian turned her hand over, lacing her fingers through his. The simple gesture felt monumental. "Tonight, I think I might be living again." The air between them shifted, charged with possibility. Marcus paid the check quickly and they walked out into the cool evening. His car and driver waited, but neither moved toward it. "Come to my place," Marcus said, his voice rough. "Just to talk. I'm not ready for this evening to end." Vivian searched his face, then nodded. "Neither am I." Marcus's penthouse overlooked the city, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing a tapestry of lights. Vivian walked to the glass, taking in the view. "It's beautiful up here," she said. "Like being above the world." "It's lonely up here," Marcus corrected, coming to stand behind her. Not touching, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. "Success, money, power, none of it means much when you have no one to share it with." Vivian turned to face him, surprised by the vulnerability in his admission. "Marcus Ashford lonely? The tabloids would never believe it. The tabloids don't know me." He lifted his hand slowly, giving her time to pull away, and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered on her cheek. "But I want you to know me, Vivian. The real me, not the CEO persona." "Why me?" she whispered. "Because you've seen me at my worst, impatient, demanding, blind. And you still showed up every day with grace and competence." His thumb traced her jawline. "Because you're brilliant and strong and beautiful, and I've been a fool not to see it. Because when you walked into that gala, something in me recognized something in you." Vivian's breath caught. She placed her hand on his chest, feeling his heart race beneath her palm. "I'm scared, Marcus. I don't know if I can do this again. Trust someone, be vulnerable, risk getting hurt." "I'm scared too," he admitted. "I've spent years building walls, focusing on business, keeping people at arm's length. But Vivian..." He covered her hand with his. "You make me want to tear those walls down." She looked up at him, and in her eyes he saw the same longing, the same fear, the same desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, they could heal each other. "Kiss me," she whispered. Marcus didn't need to be asked twice. He cupped her face with both hands and lowered his lips to hers. Gentle at first, tentative, as if she were something precious that might shatter. But when she sighed against his mouth and her arms wrapped around his neck, the kiss deepened. It was everything. Years of loneliness, of hiding, of fear, all of it burning away in the heat between them. Vivian's fingers tangled in his hair, and Marcus pulled her flush against him, one hand sliding down to the small of her back. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Marcus rested his forehead against hers. "Stay," he murmured. "Stay with me tonight." Vivian pulled back just enough to see his face. "Marcus, if I stay..." I know what I'm asking." He stroked her cheek. "I want all of you, Vivian. Every guarded piece, every broken part, every beautiful moment. If you're not ready, I'll wait. But if you are..." She answered by kissing him again, deeper this time, with a passion that made his knees weak. When she pulled away, her eyes were dark with desire. "I'm tired of hiding," she said. "I'm tired of being afraid. I want to feel alive again." Marcus swept her into his arms, carrying her toward his bedroom. She laughed, a sound of pure joy that made his heart soar, and buried her face in his neck. In the soft darkness of his room, they explored each other slowly, reverently. Marcus kissed every inch of her skin, whispering how beautiful she was, how strong, how extraordinary. Vivian touched him with wonder, her confidence growing as she watched him come undone beneath her hands. "I never thought I could feel this way again," she confessed as they lay tangled together afterward, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her shoulder. "Feel what way?" Marcus asked, pressing a kiss to her hair. "Safe. Wanted. Cherished." He tilted her chin up to look at him. "You are all of those things. You always were, I was just too blind to show you." Vivian kissed him softly. "We're both broken in our own ways. But maybe together we can be whole," he finished. They fell asleep wrapped in each other, two souls who'd spent years protecting themselves, finally daring to be vulnerable. Monday morning, Vivian arrived at work with her head high. She wore a fitted navy dress, professional but no longer hiding. Her hair was styled elegantly, and she met the curious stares of her co-workers with calm confidence. Marcus emerged from his office as she settled at her desk. Their eyes met, and the heat between them was palpable. "Good morning, Miss Chin," he said formally, but his eyes told a different story. "Good morning, Mr. Ashford." She handed him his coffee, their fingers brushing deliberately. "Your 9 o'clock is waiting in the conference room. Join me," he said. "I want your insights on the Patterson deal." Around them, co-workers exchanged shocked glances. Marcus Ashford asking his assistant for strategic input? In the conference room, after the meeting concluded, Marcus closed the door and pulled Vivian into a heated kiss. "I've been thinking about doing that since you walked in," he murmured against her lips. "Marcus, we need to talk about this." "About us? The office will. The office will adjust," he said firmly. "Vivian, I'm not hiding what we have. I'm not making you invisible again." She cupped his face. "But my career, people will say I slept my way to whatever position I have. Then we'll make sure your brilliance speaks for itself." He held her close. "I'm promoting you. Not because of us but because you've earned it 100 times over. VP of Operations, you'll be my equal, my partner in every way." Vivian's eyes widened. "Marcus, you deserve it. Say yes." She laughed, kissing him again. "Yes." The bold future. The announcement sent shockwaves through Ashford Industries. Vivian Chin, the ghost assistant, promoted to VP of Operations. And Marcus Ashford, the notoriously private CEO, openly dating her. The gossip was immediate and vicious. "She must have seduced him at the gala," someone whispered in the break room. "Sleeping her way to the top," another voice agreed. Vivian heard it all. The old her would have shrunk back, would have quit to escape the judgment. But she'd made a promise to herself: no more hiding. In her first executive meeting, she presented a comprehensive restructuring plan for their client services division. The male executives, skeptical and dismissive at first, fell silent as she systematically dismantled their outdated processes and presented data-driven solutions. "This could increase client retention by 30%, one of them admitted grudgingly. Marcus, sitting at the head of the table, caught her eye and smiled. Not as her lover but as her colleague, proud of her brilliance. After the meeting, Diana cornered her in the hallway, squealing. "VP Chin, look at you running the world." Vivian laughed. "I'm just trying to survive the gossip." "Let them talk. You know the truth, you earned this." Diana hugged her. "I'm so proud of you. Look how far you've come from those awful cardigans." "I still have them," Vivian admitted. "In the back of my closet. A reminder of who I was when I thought invisible was the same as safe. And now I know that visible means vulnerable, but it also means alive." The real test came 2 weeks later when Julian Price made his move. Anonymous emails circulated through the company, insinuating that Vivian had manipulated Marcus, that her promotion was unearned, that she was nothing but an opportunist. The source was untraceable, but Vivian knew exactly who was behind it. She found the emails on her computer Monday morning along with a note. "Come work for someone who will value your talents without requiring favors. The offer still stands." JP. Fury replaced hurt. Julian thought he could intimidate her? Thought he could push her back into invisibility? He didn't know who he was dealing with. Vivian scheduled an all-hands meeting for that afternoon. Marcus tried to handle it for her, but she stopped him. "This is my fight," she said firmly. "Trust me." In the packed auditorium, Vivian stood at the podium, every eye on her. She wore a sharp black suit, her hair pulled back in a professional style, her bearing confident. "Many of you have received emails questioning my promotion," she began, her voice clear and strong. "Rather than hide from these accusations, I want to address them directly." She pulled up a presentation. "I've worked at Ashford Industries for 2 years. In that time, I've managed 847 client accounts, increased executive efficiency by 42%, and identified cost savings totaling $3 million. I have an MBA from Northwestern and a bachelor's in business strategy from Berkeley. My work speaks for itself." She clicked to the next slide, her detailed operations plan. "As VP, I plan to implement these changes. If you disagree with my ideas, challenge them. If you think someone else is more qualified, let's have that conversation. But if your only objection is that I'm dating the CEO, then your problem isn't with my competence, it's with your own biases." The room erupted in applause. Even the skeptics looked impressed. Marcus stood in the back, his eyes shining with pride and something deeper. Love, she realized. He loved her, not the invisible assistant, not just the confident woman, but all of her. After the meeting, she found Julian's business card and sent him a simple email. I don't need your validation. I have my own. Regards, VP Chin. 6 months later, Ashford Industries celebrated its most profitable quarter in history. Vivian's operational changes had revolutionized the company, and the board had approved her appointment to the executive committee. The annual gala arrived again, but this time, Vivian walked in on Marcus's arm, not as his assistant, but as his equal and his partner. She wore sapphire blue this time, her confidence no longer new but natural. Head still turned, but now with respect rather than shock. Remember last year? Marcus murmured as they moved onto the dance floor. When you walked in and I couldn't breathe? You thought I was a stranger, Vivian said, smiling. I was right. You were a stranger, the real you that I'd never met. He pulled her close. Thank you for letting me see you. All of you. Thank you for making me want to be seen. She rested her head on his shoulder as they swayed. I spent so long thinking invisibility was protection. I didn't realize it was prison. And now? Vivian looked around the ballroom, at Diana waving enthusiastically, at co-workers who now sought her advice, at the life she'd built by choosing courage over fear. Now I'm free, she whispered. Marcus tilted her chin up and kissed her, not caring who saw, not caring about propriety or office politics. Just a man loving a woman who'd been brave enough to step into the light. When they broke apart, Vivian laughed, that joyful, uninhibited sound that Marcus had fallen in love with. What? He asked, grinning. I was just thinking, if someone had told me a year ago that I'd be standing here, in your arms, running a division of your company and completely, terrifyingly happy, I would never have believed them. Life is funny that way. Marcus kissed her forehead. Sometimes the person you need is right in front of you. You just have to learn to see them. And sometimes, Vivian added, you have to learn to let yourself be seen. They danced until the music faded, two people who'd found each other by finally finding themselves. Vivian had tried to be invisible, thinking it would keep her safe. Instead, she discovered that true safety didn't come from hiding. It came from being brave enough to be real, flaws and all, broken pieces and beautiful strengths, with someone who saw all of it and loved her anyway. As the gala ended and they walked out into the night, Vivian caught her reflection in the glass doors. The woman looking back was strong, confident, radiant, not because she'd changed who she was, but because she'd finally allowed herself to be fully, completely, authentically herself. She'd stopped trying to disappear. And in doing so, she'd finally learned how to truly live. The end.